Zophar Shankelstein's hangovers, stopovers, leftovers. Zophar Shankelstein slumped into the cracked vinyl seat of Gate 17B at O'Hare International Airport. His head was throbbing like a giant squid crushing the moon. He was in the middle of a hangover-fueled misadventure. The fake neon glow of a pretzel stand flickered in his peripheral vision, mocking and challenging his queasy stomach. It was April 10th, 2025, and Zophar was halfway through the worst layover of his life. A 7-hour stopover that felt like a cruel cosmic prank. It had all started the night before in Denver. Zophar, one of Earth's true originals, and a warning sign for others, was a 32-year-old with a penchant for thrift and chaos. He had raided his fridge for leftovers before his red-eye flight, and he'd thrown together a Frankenstein's monster of a meal. Half a soggy burrito, some questionable pad thai, a large portion of his vindaloo mystery curry that already smelled like regret. Waste not, want not, as he said. He washed it all down with half a bottle of mezcal he'd found behind his couch. Big mistake. That mezcal hit like a freight train. The room quickly divided like an unaligned Viewmaster image. It felt like a switch had been thrown, and he could not set it right. The cab ride was a blur. Zophar stumbled into the back seat, slurring his destination. O'Hare, Denver Airport. It's Bodkins, you know what I mean. To the driver named Raj, whose patience was already thinning. The mezcal sloshed around in Zophar's stomach as the cab lurched forward. He started to feel the world tilt. Turn up the jams, man, he yelled, banging on the seat. Raj obliged with some up-tempo and hauntingly distorted Bollywood beats. Zophar, half delirious, belted out gibberish lyrics and a variety of made-up Indian dialects, with his arms flailing around like a mad conductor. Raj screamed, Boss fire upon you, you jobber. Chip Killer, man, Chip Killer. Then Zophar started to dig around in his backpack looking for the leftovers. He fished out the curry Tupperware from his backpack, opened it up, and the cab quickly filled with a stench that Raj later called a war crime. You eat that? Raj barked. Make my eyes water. He cracked the windows as Zophar shoveled a spoonful in, grinning. Fuel for the flight, baby. Till a sharp turn sent an overloaded spoonful of the curry splattering against the window. Angry, Raj slammed on the brakes, throwing Zophar forward, crashing him against the seat. He cackled wildly. To the moon, baby! He packed away what was left of that mad bastard vindaloo he'd brought for the flight. And shortly after, the cab screeched to the terminal, with Zophar adding a drunkenly inspired, generous tip on the app. He stumbled back from the cab, thinking of himself as a model international playboy, with jazz hands pointed at Raj. Keep the change, legend! Before staggering off to his gate. At this point, time started to pass in disconnected paragraphs of reality. Somehow, within them, Zophar found himself stumbling down the right gateway. By the time he boarded his 2 a.m. flight, he was the definition of a walking disaster, but still holding it together enough as not to draw any more attention than was normal for Zophar. The plane touched down in Chicago at 5 a.m. Zophar's hangover announced itself with the authority of a hard gut punch. His mouth was coated in the sour ash of a witch's pyre. Each breath tasted like stagnant outhouse. His skull contained a legion hall full of blacksmiths, ceaselessly hammering on bells, tolling the death of his wits. He had 7 hours to kill. Or rather, the 7 hours had him. The universe wanted revenge for crimes against nature. He was a lost soul, wandering in the cursed, sprawling, soulless O'Hare International Airport. It was his purgatory. Nearby, a toddler screamed out a new life's declaration of existence, while overhead a gate agent barked unintelligible announcements, broadcast into painful noise art. All around him, the air smelled like burnt coffee, industrial cleaner, and despair. Zophar's final destination required a desperate shuffle to the 24-hour Runway Tavern. He was lured by the promise of his favorite lady of the morning. She might be the only chance at making things right. And if not right, at least pointed in the right direction. He ordered a Bloody Mary, figuring the tomato juice might count as hydration, health food, or the nod to the Virgin Mother might at least count as a step toward salvation. It didn't. The bartender, a grizzled guy named Chuck, name tag that had typed out Al Capone, slid the glass over with a smirk. Rough night, huh? Zophar grunted, downing a third of the drink in one go. He made another desperate sound and chugged another third of the redemption before him. You have no idea, Chuck. Then an odd look of terror came over him. Oh, God! Oh, no! He said. The spice had hit his stomach and unleashed a geyser of lava tearing through his core. He lurched towards the restroom, clutching his gut. He ran, each foot seeming to fall before the last. A desperate fight against holes in gravity itself, trying to make his way to the unfortunate and doomed toilet. Inside the fluorescent-lit hellscape of the men's room, Zophar's condition went from bad to apocalyptic. He stumbled into a stall, dropped to his knees, and unleashed a torrent of regret into the toilet. Mezcal, curry, and all the other poisons he had ingested the night before. The room spun violently as he gripped the porcelain. A wave of nausea so intense it hit him like reality itself fracturing. His vision blurred, the flickering lights above morphing into a pulsing green glow that took over the room. A delirious realization provided a short respite. A realization that he was not in O'Hare Airport anymore. Cold, metallic walls closed in. A high-pitched whine pierced his ears. Bastards! Bastards! He rasped. I've been damn abducted again! In his hangover-addled mind, Zophar pictured gray-skinned aliens hovering over him, their spindly fingers probing his stomach. They're extracting the pad thai, he muttered, convinced that the toilet was a portal to their ship. Not gonna break my leg this time, gray freaks. He held the rim, preventing abduction through the drain. He was just able to push himself off, falling into the safety of the floor and wall. An alarmed and frightened traveler clattered outside the stall, snapping him back, sort of. He staggered out to the sink, splashing water on his face, the wall, and the floor behind him. He was still trembling from the abduction. Never drinking again, he swore to his wild-eyed reflection. Though the aliens in his head disagreed, and his reflection admitted it was true. Back at the gate, he tried to salvage the situation with leftovers he had packed. that Tupperware of cursed curry, now warm and more pungent from hours in his backpack. When he popped off the lid, the smell wafted out like a biohazard, earning glares from a casually dressed man and a smartly clad woman who was clutching a purple and yellow yoga mat. "Dude, seriously," the businessman snapped. Scooting away, Zophar shoveled a spoonful into his mouth, hoping it would settle his stomach. It didn't. The pad thai noodles resurfaced in his throat. With alien flashbacks swirling in his head, he bolted for a trash can, just barely making it. By hour 3 of his O'Hare purgatory layover, Zophar's body was a potent warning to others. But his spirit, stubborn, reckless, faintly unhinged, refused to surrender. He'd slumped back into the cracked vinyl seat. After the recent chaos, his hoodie damp with sweat and sink water. A flicker of defiance sparkled in his bleary eyes. "I'm not licked yet," he murmured. Determined to ride out the storm, Zophar lurched to his feet and staggered towards a vending machine he had spotted earlier. Its glowing promise of ginger ale calling, like the Sisters of Mercy, welcoming him in with comfort and care. He fumbled his card, feeding, sliding, then madly tapping the thing against the machine, until it granted his wish. Soon it whirred and clanked. The can dropped with the satisfying thud of victory. He cracked it open, carbonation exploding in a geyser, soaking his shirt and face. Alien assholes! Zophar slunk back to his seat, the poisons in his belly and blood still boiling with anger. A little kid nearby pointed and whispered to his mom, "Is that man okay?" The mom didn't answer. She just pulled her son closer and edged him away from the roaming hazard. In his haze, Zophar's mind drifted back to the aliens. Oh, they'd love this, he thought. He was imagining them dissecting him, imagining the aliens marveling at his unholy resilience. Earth's secret weapon, gray freaks. Try probing that. I'm damn Superman. By the end of hour 3, he was sprawled across 2 seats, one hand clutching onto a second can of ginger ale, the other resting on his stained clothing. The smell of curry, puke, and worse things, warning others to stay away. By hour 4, Zophar was a shell of a man, now sprawled across 3 seats, his hoodie pulled over his face. He'd given up on dignity, not that it was something he could depend upon. He thought about extraterrestrial digestive experiments. Then fate dealt another blow, a gate change. His flight to New York was now departing from Terminal 5, a 20-minute trek away. He staggered through the airport, dragging his carry-on like an injured soldier might drag another from certain death. His hangover pulsing with every step. Another oasis of hope appeared, this time a water fountain. It did little to help. His hands shook too much to fill his bottle. He ended up sloshing water nearly everywhere but the bottle. Finally, after soaking himself and the area, he collected enough life-giving fluid to continue on. He took a drink, and it was good. He took another drink, and it was good. He felt the earth turn. By the time Zophar reached the gate for his connecting flight to New York, now relocated to the hinterlands of Terminal 5, he was a damn mess. Hour 7 of this O'Hare ordeal had whittled him down to a shambling, disembodied husk, his hood soaked with bad memories, his jeans bearing mysterious stains like battle scars, and his wiry frame swaying around out of sync like pine trees in a storm. The gate agent, a woman named Marla, wore a crisp and fitted navy blazer. She stood like authority itself at the podium, scanning boarding passes with mechanical precision. Zophar staggered up, dragging his carry-on behind him like a hunter drags a fresh kill out of the woods. He thrust his crumbled boarding pass forward. "To the moon, ladies!" he croaked to the single gate attendant, his voice a gravelly mix of exhaustion and defiance, hands twitching as if he had intended to shake them around. The attendant, with a severe hair bun, I might add, Marla, peered at the pass, then at Zophar, her eyes narrowing as she examined his disheveled state. "Sir, are you fit to fly?" she asked, her tone clipped and skeptical, like a cop sizing up a drunk. Zophar grinned, a wild, toothy thing that didn't quite reach his bloodshot eyes. "Fit? I'm a damn phoenix, Marla. Risen from the ashes of this 7-hour layover. You ever fought aliens in a bathroom stall? I have. I'm more than fit." He swayed slightly, clutching the podium for balance. A faint whiff of sick hit the air. Marla wasn't convinced. She tapped her pen against the podium, eyeing the disturbing stains on his shirt. "Sir, I can't let you board if you're intoxicated or a risk to other passengers. You look unwell." Zophar just stared ahead, somewhat at her with a dead look in his eyes. Was it a Jedi mind trick? Or was he just at the end, the edge of reality itself? Perhaps she was just tired. Perhaps she was frustrated and sick of her job. No one knows. Then, inexplicably, she said, "Look, we're overbooked anyway. Can you just sit quietly and not disturb anyone?" "Quiet as pancakes. Still like holy water," Zophar vowed, crossing his heart with his shaky hand. "I just want my seat, lady. I've earned it. Those gray freaks didn't break me or my legs. Neither will O'Hare International Purgatory." "Fine," Marla said, scanning his pass with a laugh. "But if you cause a scene, you'll be in jail. Federal jail." Zophar saluted, a sloppy, triumphant gesture, then shuffled towards the jetway, muttering, "To the moon!" She watched him go, already reaching for the intercom to warn the crew. When he finally boarded the plane, Zophar looked like he'd aged a decade. The attendant eyed him warily as he collapsed into his seat, still reeking of curry and ruin. "Never again," he croaked, though he knew it was a lie. As the plane rumbled down the runway, Zophar's mind drifted to home. He pictured his grimy Denver apartment, the fridge still holding more remnants of those burritos, pad thai, and curry. A faint smirk crossed his cracked lips. "I think I'm gonna live," he thought. He was still a member of the animated dead, but he could see light at the end of the tunnel. Was it redemption or death? Either way, he couldn't help but feel some liberation from the terror. "I'm invincible. I survived. I can't believe it. I'm alive. I must have built up enough antibodies by now. I'm probably immune to food poisoning for the rest of my life. You know what? When I get back, I'm polishing off the rest of that pad thai burritos and curry. Waste not, want not. I'm a star man, baby. Right to the big, beautiful moon. None of you bastards can stop me." Zophar Shankelstein was a man of habits. Bad ones. Somewhere in his future, another leftover stuffed, hangover-riddled, alien-haunted stopover was waiting. For now, he closed his eyes. His head like the bulb of a large ship cutting through massive waves on the North Atlantic. His mind rang like a struck and hollow bowl. With absolute exhaustion, he collapsed, praying for the sweet mercy of turbulence-free sleep.